Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, San Jose, where we are transforming lives, building dreams, and revealing love. Where all that we ask is that you stay open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. Welcome home. My name is Barbara Valdez, and this is Lucy Witt, your professional prayer practitioner of the day. We are so happy you are here, and I'd like to extend an especially warm welcome to anyone here for the first time. Thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us. I invite you to go to the concierge and fellowship hall after service and pick up a welcome packet and sign our guest book. The welcome packet has a gift for you, plus information about our center, and a concierge team member will be happy to answer any questions you might have about who we are or what we do. Or if you prefer, you can pick up a welcome packet in the foyer on your way out. Now, let's celebrate being in community. Please take a moment to turn and greet your neighbors. Each week, we dedicate 2 moments to being in silence together. Please help us ensure a sacred environment by turning off all your electronic devices. I invite you to double check that you've done that. And now, join our choir in a chant that will lead us into the silence.
And staying in that sweet space of prayer, our voices will ring together as one, in the one power, the one presence, the one mind, the one life of God that is joining us together today in that magnificent spirit of Christmas, of holiday, of Kwanzaa, of all the wonderful celebrations that we are a part of. And this is a celebration today, right here and right now in this room. We know that each person is a divine expression of that one light, that one God. Each of us gives out today our blessings to one another. We encourage each other. We talk, we listen, we love, we cry. We experience all the emotions that this season brings. But all is good, all is well, because there's transformation happening at every pivot point today. Something new is emerging. Some feeling is coming forward. And whether it's here in this room or standing in line at Macy's, it can occur anywhere. And so my God, your God, our God together brings us into that loving spirit of thanksgiving, of blessing, being grateful for all we have right now and what the new year may bring. I'm grateful, I'm blessed. And I release my word now into the divine law of the one mind, knowing that it goes forward to do its right and perfect work. And please anchor this prayer with me in saying, and so it is. Oh, thank you. I knew I had my glasses for a reason. Yes, please say the affirmation. Today, I bestow the essence of love upon everything. Everyone I meet shall be lovely to me. My soul meets the soul of the universe in everyone. This love is a healing power, touching everything into wholeness.
Good morning, everyone. When you recognize the presence, lifting up your heart in gladness, and you hear the music playing, and you see the people praising, just forget about your worries, let your troubles fall behind you. Don't you wait another minute, just get up and on your feet and get dancing, singing, jumping, leaping, get shouting, make it loud and make it glorious. Just rejoicing, praising, lifting, raising, get shouting, make it loud and make this great glorious, glorious. All right, choir, you gotta sing along with us, and you can stand.
morning. My name is Clay Wilson, and I have been a member of this church for the past 13 years. A licensed practitioner with a ministry with the LGBT seniors. I retired 23 years ago from a successful career which included 10 years as a pilot in the U.S. Air Force, 7 years as a weather forecaster for flights over the Atlantic and the Pacific, and 25 years as a manager in semiconductor manufacturing. I've had two great loves in my life. One, for 20 years, is married to a beautiful black woman that I met in college. We have 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and a brand new great-granddaughter. My wife and I continue to be friends, and we have traveled together since our divorce. For 23 years, I was partner to a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Irishman from Chicago. His 3 sons and their families and I can exchange Christmas cards, and they inform me whenever there's an addition to the family. My spiritual journey has taken me from a liberal Baptist church to an forward-thinking Lutheran church, to New Thought, to the Science of Mind, Religious Science at Center for Spiritual Living. I first met Dr. David when I was on the Board of Trustees for United Church of Religious Science, and he was on the staff as manager of the GEMS department. I served as layperson representative for this district for 4 years, and for secretary as 1 year. It was a time of lots of growth. I took many classes and attended many conventions and retreats. Although I was successful and appeared calm on the outside, I felt angry and insecure on the inside. I was having issues with being old, black, and gay. Issues which I thought I had dealt with successfully. In meetings and classes, I was quick to share my concerns. However, my minister seemed to think that I was holding on to my story and I needed to let go. That was not as easy as it sounded, because I had suppressed feelings so many years in order to be successful, in order to survive. I engaged the services of a minister from Oregon whom I had traveled with and trusted implicitly to uncover hidden beliefs which I didn't even realize that I had. We have met by telephone once a month for the past 10 years. It was easy to get over being old. It was relatively easy to get over being gay. But it has been much more difficult to embrace all that it means to be black as a human being in this world. For 3 years, I enrolled in a series of memoir writing classes at the DeFrank Center as another means of therapy to help me heal the past. It was a wonderfully rewarding experience. I documented many, many stories of my experiences, and I shared them with family and friends, and they encouraged me to write a book. Gathering a number of these isolated writings, I submitted them to a neutral editor who was referred to me by Jane Higrat of this congregation. She was very encouraging, but advised me to choose my audience and to have an overall arc for tying the story together. I remembered that my great-grandmother had been a slave until she was 12. Whenever she spoke, which wasn't very often, everyone listened very intently. But I was only a child at the time, so I wasn't privy to her actual experiences, and her history was lost. I decided to publish my history for whatever it was worth. I chose to use chronology to tell my story and my spiritual growth as the arc for the book, which I entitled Molding Clay, memories of my journey. It is not a complete record by any means, just some of my more prominent memories. The final manuscript turned out to be very different from the original because I removed all the explicit sexual details. That could be the subject of another book. I ended the book with a question of what is my next step? And I'm ending this talk with my intentions. I intend to feel God's love at a deeper and deeper level. I intend to continually be authentic, my authentic self, and to allow others to be authentic. I intend to live long and strong and satisfied to the end of my days.
I think we have a title for his sequel. The sequel should be called 50 Shades of Clay. I love Clay. I love that man. I totally love him. Wow. That was good. That was good, Clay. Thank you. So one of our members won at one of our auctions in this last year. She bid and was the highest bidder for a 6-day, or sorry, it's a 7-day, from January 2nd through the 9th, condo in Maui, big enough for 6 people. And it turns out she's not able to go. So she doesn't want to sell it. She wants to gift it to someone in this room. So if you have, she has specifically said, someone who may not have been on vacation for 5 years or more. If you qualify there, she's not including airfare, that's up to you. Your job will be to see Reverend Susan, and Reverend Susan has the information on how you can take advantage of that. We're just giving it away. So first person to get to Reverend Susan without knocking anybody over. Yes, step over people, not on them. That's, again, January 2nd through the 9th. 2014. So this week, by the way, I was away with friends. We went up to Lake Tahoe on a planned getaway. And hi, good to see you. And while I was in Tahoe on Friday, I was up at the top of the Tamarack area, and I was sitting on at a table having a cup of decaf coffee, resting. And there was a couple of guys, and they were talking about how they impact people at their work. That they actually intentionally go to work to make an impact in the lives of other people. They don't go there just to get money. They go there to make a contribution to their world. And I was listening intently. I just kept sliding over. I was just like suddenly, I was part of their conversation. And it, you know, it's actually good to move in the world that way, because most people have food you would not have ordered. And when you're friends, it's suddenly there for the sharing. So this one man in particular was talking about how it is in his work that he inspires other people and causes other people to do more than they thought that they could, to feel more equipped than they had heretofore felt equipped, to be empowered and to be more than that they thought they could be. And he said, you know, I guess my whole life I've kind of been like Dumbo's feather. Well, I said, Dumbo didn't have a feather. Dumbo was an elephant. And he looked at me, as someone who's older does look at me, like, oh. So, because I was at Tamarack, there was no cell service or wireless, so there's no way even for me to check this on the phone to prove to him that in his aged perspective, he was incorrect. But I made a note, and then on Friday night, I couldn't sleep while everybody else had gone to sleep. So I was up until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I found on Netflix, Dumbo, the original 1941. It's about 68 minutes, Dumbo. And my computer-generated graphics have come a long way since 1941. I watched the story of Dumbo, and I found out that Dumbo did indeed have a feather. This is the only feather I could find in the building today, but I figure it's pink for Clay. I can say that because we're in a church and he's forced to forgive me. Or at least to start thinking about how he probably could benefit from forgiving me. So I found out the story of Dumbo, which I, before this weekend, thought that Dumbo was just this really cool ride at Disneyland. For those of you who don't know, Dumbo is there's like 6 or 7 arms on like a carousel. At the end of each arm, there is a Dumbo with the big ears, and kids and small adults get to climb into this Dumbo and go up and down and up and down. And I didn't see a feather. But on Netflix, I watched the story. For those of you who know it, forgive me as I tell it again. For those of you who don't, basically here's a synopsis. Picture the scene. There's a circus, and all of the circus animals are receiving baby animals by way of the stork. And then finally the mama, Mrs. Jumbo, receives her package from the stork. And it is indeed a baby elephant, a little baby Jumbo. And all the other pachyderms, all the other elephants think it's just lovely, cutest thing ever, until Dumbo sneezes. And when he sneezes, his ears that have been tucked under him suddenly become evident. And all the other elephants get to see that Dumbo is a freak, that he's a freak of nature. And he's suddenly laughed at, and he's ridiculed. And Dumbo's mother immediately puts him behind her, and she protects her new baby boy, who the other elephants call Dumbo, not Jumbo. So the next town at which the circus arrives shows Mrs. Jumbo and baby Dumbo on display for all the locals. The local kids are taunting Dumbo, see? They're making fun of him, fun of his ears, and they're grabbing his ears and they're tugging on him, which causes the mother to protect her baby Dumbo. And she jumps up, or she rears up on her hind legs and stomps her feet to scare the boys away, just as the ringmaster, the ringleader, comes in and sees Mrs. Jumbo acting this way, thinking that she's crazy, that she's unsafe, that she's mad. And so they put her in a cattle car all by herself, and they put a sign that says "Keep out." Basically, she's been put into solitary confinement. So now we've got Dumbo with the big ears being taunted by the locals, being taunted and neglected by the other pachyderms, and being without his mother, who's now in solitary confinement. It's not a good life. Well, enter the scene a small mouse named Timothy. What we find out about Timothy is that most elephants are afraid of Timothy. But Timothy finds that he can no longer stand how this little elephant is being neglected and abused and taunted, so he becomes the advocate for Dumbo right away. And he decides that the way to get Dumbo's mother freed is to esteem Dumbo and we'll pray for him, to raise Dumbo into the eyes of the ringmaster. And how he does that is Timothy, the mouse, sneaks up to the ear of the ringleader while the ringleader's sleeping and whispers into his ear this idea of what if you had all the other elephants like climb on top of each other, much like a 1941 version of Cirque du Soleil with big elephants instead of skinny, ripped people. And then at the top of which you'll have Dumbo come running in, and he'll jump on a springboard and he'll dive to the very top, and he'll have his flag at the top, and the crowd will go wild. And then the ringmaster wakes up, not realizing that there's a mouse there, and thinks he had this dream, and he has this great idea, and so he does that. Exactly, he puts that into motion. So comes opening night, the elephants are climbing onto each other, and they're about balancing themselves on a ball, and then in comes Dumbo, and Dumbo starts running towards the springboard when he trips on his ear, and then he stumbles, and he hits the ball, and the elephants start going crazy, and they all fall down, and the masts of the tent fall, and the whole tent falls down, and now it's even worse than it was before. Dumbo is crying so much at his failure that he gets the hiccups. And everybody knows when you get the hiccups, you should have a drink of water. And so Timothy leads him to a bucket in the area of the I want to say the ranch hands, but the circus hands. But what we don't know is that a small amount of liquor has fallen into this bucket of water, and so Dumbo and Timothy drink the water, and suddenly they're tipsy, and they see pink elephants, and they get scared, and then they apparently black out. That's what happens. Now, if Disney were modern day, this would lead to a 12-step program. It would lead to charges of child abuse and endangerment. But it's Disney, so what happens next is we find the elephant and the mouse in a tree, wondering, how did we get here? I know. Some of you are like, yes, that's exactly when I started my program. And Timothy looks at Dumbo's big ears and looks at this tree and thinks, well, we must have flown up here. Now, there are crows in the tree, and the crows suddenly start laughing at him. You're an elephant and a mouse. How did you fly? You don't fly, you idiot, you stupid. And he brings all these other epithets, which were acceptable in 1941. And Dumbo slides down the tree, and he slinks off again because the world is just not a good place for him. Well, Timothy has just had it. And so Timothy rails at these crows. Timothy says, how can you do this? You have no idea what this boy has been through. He talks about the parenting. He talks about mother being in solitary confinement. He gives the crows the whole story. Now, the crows are feeling like, well, yeah, we're really sorry. And they're feeling remorseful. And they try to make amends. And the way that they're going to make amends is to tell Dumbo, you know, you're right. You can fly, and we're going to help you. And they pluck a feather from the tail of one of the crows, and they hand it to Dumbo, and they say, this is a magic feather. This will help you to fly. And so Dumbo takes the feather, and he holds it at the end of his trunk when the crow and the mouse push and push and push Dumbo to a precipice, off of which he falls. And he starts plummeting towards earth when he begins to fly. And he's looking at his feather, and he's thinking, this is why I do it. Now, I want to pause here for a moment to say this is exactly why we're here today. You and I will leave here with a challenge. The challenge being, am I willing to be a magic feather? I don't really have the power, but I will equip others such that they believe they have the power to fly. So Dumbo does indeed fly, and Timothy the mouse has plans, and the plans are when Dumbo does that night's performance, Dumbo will jump off of this flaming tower of house, and instead of landing in a pool of water with the other clowns, he will start flying. So time comes, everybody's watching, and Dumbo's holding his feather, and he jumps off, but the feather falls out of his hands, out of his trunk. And now he's really plummeting. And Timothy thinks, we're going to die. And I think Timothy became kind of like the little train that thought he could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Because Timothy's like, you can fly, you can fly, you can fly, you can fly, you can fly. And sure enough, Dumbo does fly. And that creates such an outburst from the crowd that Dumbo is esteemed, and his mother is removed from solitary confinement, and the story ends with Dumbo's mother at the back of a beautiful train car, and Dumbo sitting in her lap, and it's just fantastic. And I'm sharing that with you today because our topic is transforming strangers into guests and friends. And the way that we can transform strangers into guests and friends is to actually be a magic feather, to be a presence in the lives of other people such that they think that they can do something that they did not think they could do without you. That was a lot of words. Our annual theme is practicing, living the science of mind. Practice makes permanent. And we're practicing a different spiritual practice every month. This month it's hospitality. And hospitality is really being generosity in action. Actually, it's not just what you do, it's what you are. And last week I shared with you what I learned from the book of the month. And what I learned from the book of the month is that there are 3 steps to practicing hospitality. In, with and out. In, without. In, without is how one really practices hospitality in the face of feeling inhospitable. So if you're feeling inhospitable, like maybe you're facing bankruptcy, or your house is in foreclosure, or your spouse has just told you sayonara, or you were hoping that your spouse would tell you sayonara, or you have no money for Christmas gifts, or your Christmas is that time of year that just causes you to be so blue. It's when you the most feel inhospitable. This is exactly when you practice those 3 steps, in, with, out. And what emerges from there is hospitality. Hospitality is such, though, that the thing itself, the God that you're hoping reveals itself in the world, actually becomes a real experience. But not just a real experience about something you hear about on Sunday from other people. But you'll notice that the people with whom you're sharing your table or the ski slopes have been moved. So in is where we turn when everything that we've been doing is no longer working, or when we've tried and we've tried and we've tried and we've had no headway. Have you ever had that happen? And you think, well, if I just push a little bit harder, if I just yell a little bit louder, if I just undermine a little stronger, if I just take a little more medication, or if I just fill in the blank a little bit more. But we've tried that. And the results sometimes are unmoving. This is when we turn in. But in is to just move away from the problem long enough for the thing itself to finally be heard. By the way, the thing itself has always been broadcasting. But when we stop long enough, we hear it. This is best described by a true life experience in Tijuana, Mexico. Tijuana is a border town that's right next to San Diego. And this is a true story. In Tijuana, a particular area in Tijuana, there was a pothole developed in a street. Not a big deal. We know about potholes. But this pothole kept growing and growing and growing and growing as time went by. And the locals kept complaining to the officials to fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. But they never did. They never did. This pothole got so big, it would swallow up cars. It was so big, it was scary. But the locals kept trying and trying and trying, and nothing was changes. So they kind of went in, meaning they turned away from trying to force a solution and determined to accept it as it is. Here's what they did. They decided that since this pothole was here to stay, we might as well welcome it into the neighborhood and the family. And they did so. On the first anniversary of the pothole's appearance, they gave it a birthday party, complete with balloons and birthday cake and mariachi band and a piñata. They celebrated the birthday of this pothole and welcomed it like it was family. Well, this became news such that the immediate result was that the authorities came in and filled in the pothole. That's why we turn in, because we don't give in to inhospitable behavior. With is that middle section. With is what happens when we don't know what to do, and the best thing to do is nothing but be with. This is when you cry. This is when you sleep. This is when you might reach out and have your friends come and just take you to a movie or get your hair done or a manicure, pedicure. This is when you make yourself present to just be with somebody and say nothing. We watched Newtown, Connecticut do this yesterday. Yesterday was a one-year anniversary of the shootings at Newtown, the result of which 20 children were killed, 6 educators, the armed gunman, and his mother. Yesterday was a one-year anniversary, and Newtown addressed it with the with stage. They were in. They sequestered themselves. They asked the world's news to stay away. They said, we do not need to be reminded by having an anniversary of this event. We will always remember. Rather, we are going to handle it inwardly with our own community, and we ask that you who are watching on the outside do one act of kindness in memory of one of our lost beloveds. That to me is inspiring. That's the with stage. With the with stage, you're not retaliating, you're not lashing out, you're not trying to fix or alter. You're just being with it. And when you move in and stay with, the natural, logical, and necessary outcome is generosity. Generosity always emerges from that, always. Last week I spoke about that with stage, the out stage, the third, by mentioning KLM and a video I had seen about their social network experiment where for 3 weeks they hunted down 28 passengers and gave them a gift to, instead of having a social network smiley face icon, put a real smile on someone's face. And then those 28 acts of generosity from KLM led to a net result of over 1 million tweets. So that's what happens when you do an act of kindness or generosity. Well, yesterday, a friend showed me a video, which many of you have already seen. I didn't even know about it. It's about WestJet, a Canadian airline, WestJet. And WestJet did a marketing. It was one of those marketing moments. When I watched this video, I had two distinct experiences simultaneously with each other. One was, oh my God, I can't believe how amazing the world is. And the other, at the same time, saying, oh my God, this is such marketing. I can't believe I'm being tugged. And, oh my God, this is amazing. And then finally, this voice, finally the one that was just in the beauty of the season said, shut up. Because I don't care if it was marketing. The net result was I was impacted such that I remembered even for a moment how amazing it is to be alive. Even though I know people right now who are devastated in this room, and still we are together. It's amazing that we are alive. So this video is a 5-minute video about WestJet, and it starts with the night before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all across the land, the good folks of WestJet had a miracle planned. On the eve before flying, the guests in their beds, visions of traveling danced in their heads. While out on the runway, something secret arrived. It was left in the lounge. 'Twas a Christmas surprise. And what it was this cube, a box, about the external dimensions of this piano, but as tall as this piano is long. And it was put into the departure lounge of the airport in Toronto, from which 2 planes were about to leave simultaneously for Calgary, the other side of the country. So there were a few hundred, 200 people in this lounge getting ready to board their flights. And this box has a sign on it that says, scan your boarding pass here. And so people would scan their boarding pass. And there was this TV screen, like a plasma screen, but turned on its side. So it was narrow. It was taller than it was wide. And as soon as they scanned it, Santa appeared, an electronic version of Santa that said, hello, Tracy. Are you all ready for your flight? And Tracy says, yes. And he says, and what do you want for Christmas this year? And Tracy says, I want a pair of mittens. And then the next person comes in and they scan their boarding pass. And Santa says, hello, Heather. And Heather goes, hello. But what we don't know is that there really is, in another room, a man dressed as Santa, sitting in a director's chair, in front of a camera. And he's actually speaking real time with those people via a video recording. And that there are WestJet employees frantically making notes. Because as soon as Tracy says she wants a new pair of gloves, they're looking. Tracy's got medium-sized hands and she got a pair of gloves. And they're thinking, Heather wanted a new Android tablet. Heather, new Android tablet. And then the poem goes on. While the guests told their Christmas wishes to good old St. Nick, WestJetters took notes and got ready to shop quick. It was a great rush with the 2 flights in the air to get all those presents, not a moment to spare. But was everything ready? We all had to wait for the moment of truth at Carousel 8. Now, Carousel 8 was in Calgary, and Carousel 8 is a real carousel. Usually, baggage claim carousels are stainless steel, and there might be a few sample black bags in the middle saying, check the tags carefully, because all bags look alike. But this one was decorated for the holidays. It had that fake fluffy cotton type snow on the top of the carousel, and it had cutouts of reindeer and Christmas trees. And as soon as the planes moved in and people started pouring into the baggage claim area, and the yellow light in the ceiling, you know, the one that goes, as soon as it starts spinning, fake snow started to fall from the ceiling. Every one of those passengers that had scanned their boarding pass at the airport in Toronto and specifically told Santa what they wanted, some of them included a camera, a big screen plasma TV. I want a trip to go see my mother. A little kid actually wanted an Android tablet. And every one of those had been purchased by employees on the other end, and they had about 3 hours to mad dash run and shop and get all those gifts back to the airport, at which place hundreds of people were wrapping gifts and putting big labels on them, you know, to Tracy from Santa, to Heather from Santa. And while the belt started to move, and gift after gift after gift after gift after gift started coming down. And people started looking, and they started wondering, until somebody saw their name and grabbed it and ran. And then everyone else, and it became mayhem. And now here's where the two voices, like, marketing. Look, this is marketing. I can't believe you're being manipulated. Shut up. I watched it and I sobbed. It was like, it's WestJet, it's an ad, and I sobbed. Because even if it is marketing, there are people who work in that marketing department who have the awareness of how they can impact the lives of other people. That, to me, is a magic feather. That they can move through the world such that they change people's lives. So that's our task this week, should we take it on. Oh, and it ends this way. It says, a WestJetter would say it was more than mere fun. Miracles do happen when we all work as one. So we'll give Santa the last word on this most special night. He says, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good flight. If they were here, I'd fly that company. So, as an aside, I watched another video that they had. They did this last year. They did a flash mob. It was Christmas Eve 2012. It was a flash mob. People were sitting in the waiting area waiting to fly from Calgary to Toronto. It was 11:29 p.m. People were getting kind of cranky because that's what we do on Christmas Eve. People were getting cranky and they were tired, and the flight was oversold, and people didn't know who was going to get bumped, and the aircraft moved in. What they didn't know, that on that aircraft were not other passengers waiting to disembark. There were 105 WestJet volunteers dressed as elves, so that when the door opened, 105 elves came rushing off this plane, singing, and had everybody suddenly singing Christmas songs. That's the nature of the season. That's the power of the magic feather. Let's pray together. I'm very grateful to be here in this room and to remember that there's only one life. Not two lives, not a good life and a bad life, not a healthy life and a sick life, not a rich life and a poor life, not a loving life and a lonely life. There's only one life. And that life is the thing itself. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. And so I'm speaking with this one life, your life and my life, the same life, guiding me to remember that there is not a geographical place, but a place in consciousness in which every person in this room is in their original state. It's that place in consciousness where you have never been afraid, you've never been scared, you've never been abused, you've never been forgotten, you've never been shamed, you've never been without. And right now I'm calling that that original state back into activity. The world is hungry for what we know. The world is hungry for what we can be. And I want to be like that man who was sitting at Tamarack, at that table outside that ski lift. I want to be like that man who moves through the world realizing that he causes people to think that they can fly. So there's only one life. And that life is God. And that life is perfect. And that life is your life now. What will you do with it? It's going to be good. And so it is. I'm asking the ushers to move forward and help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. And while they do, I ask you to say with me our giving affirmation together. My life is filled with many wonderful people who bring me gifts of joy and happiness. I spread the blessings of the season, for I am a shining star to all who see me, a beacon of hope and peace and prosperity in our world today and the year ahead.
God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now, there's only one life, that life
Thank you, Michelle and Troy and choir and band. You guys are awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm back from the happiest place on earth, and I bring you greetings from Tinkerbell. The other happiest place on earth. I even wore my red and black today, my mini colors. I forgot my hat, though. All right, today, a few quick announcements. We have an education open house today at 12:30 because winter class registration begins today, but we're also having an open house at 12:30 to 1:30 where you can meet the education team, you can meet the class facilitators, you can have all your questions answered. We have the schedule for the rest of the academic year on all the classes that are coming up. You can get information on tuition assistance, so all of your questions can be answered from 12:30 to 1. We will be upstairs in that wing in the Ernest Holmes room. And after service, our fabulous insight speaker, Clay Wilson, will be doing a book signing for his book, Molding Clay. So you can get the book in the gift shop, and then Clay will be at a table right on the other side of the window here, and he will autograph your book for you before the movie comes out and it becomes really expensive. I understand the movie will not be edited. We have our 6 p.m. service tonight. Maureen Ross is our guest speaker. And I know there's a little tag up there about our elves with the family giving tree. They have already left. To about 20 people from our community, along with Dorcas Kelly, our outreach leader, have left, and they have gone to the Family Giving Tree to help wrap gifts. So just hold them in your hearts and be grateful for those folks in service, and a prayer for those that might be having a struggle this holiday. On Wednesday, December 18th, this will be the last Practice Makes Permanent class for 2013, because then we will not meet on Christmas Day or New Year's Day, and we'll resume on January 8th with a whole new program for 2014. So I'm very excited about what's coming up, and I'm deeply grateful for what we experienced this year. Since our topic is hospitality this Wednesday night from 7 to 8, if you would like to bring your favorite Christmas cookie to share, we'll have a little bit of a dessert sharing after our Wednesday night. So that's this week. And then on Tuesday, December 18th, the New Normal group, that's this Tuesday, will meet from 7 to 8:30. On Thursday, did you mention it? So this Thursday night is the new Awaken, AWAKIN. This is our experience to be in the silence together. So we'll gather at 7 o'clock. We'll enter into this beautiful silence in the building, and then at 8 o'clock, there will be an opportunity from 8 to 9 for a brief sharing from everyone there. And then from 9 to 10, there'll be a very simple, beautiful soup supper that we share with one another, also in the silence this week. Dr. David is hosting the kickoff this Thursday night at from 7 to 10. So we hope you'll join us, and maybe just take that time, especially during this season, right, to just be in the stillness with one another. And next Sunday, the 22nd, we will have a very special visitor, the big jolly man in the red suit's coming. There'll be, again, if you'd like to bring some cookies to share, I know that Ceci and our hospitality angels will also be creating some snacks for everyone. So that'll be after second service, and there'll be a photo opportunity for you and Santa, or your youngsters and Santa, or your adults and Santa. By the way, big people go on Dumbo. I went on 3 times. By the way. So that's next Sunday, the 22nd. We also wanted to tell you about a new book study that started here at the center. It actually began in the very end of November. So while we're gaining momentum, I wanted to remind everybody that on Sunday afternoons, the second and the fourth Sunday, from 1 to 2:30, we have A Course in Miracles book study that's beginning here at the center. There's information about that, all of this, in your bulletin. And on Tuesday the 24th, like my other favorite night here at the center, is our Christmas Eve candle lighting service. It will feature our fabulous choir again. We're so blessed, and so the music will be awesome, and it'll be just a beautiful, beautiful candlelit ceremony for Christmas Eve. And on Friday the 27th, the Women's Ministry is hosting their last event of 2013. So the Eat, Play, Love group is doing gratitude cards. It'll be a great night right before the new year to reflect on 2013 and write out cards of gratitude for those people that have been your pink feather for this year. And then on the 31st, our Practitioner 2 students are hosting a beautiful ceremony from 5 to 6 p.m. It's their service that they design from start to finish, and it's Christmas Eve gratitude and intention setting, and New Year's Eve, and it's early. It's from 5 to 6, so you can come and get your God on and then go get your glitter on, and still be in time for all your New Year's Eve festivities. So that's at 5 o'clock. Prayer, if there's something going on in your life for which you would like prayer, please take a seat under the windows after service, and our practitioners, our folks with stoles, will pray with you. It's free. It's their gift to you every Sunday. I will not be here next Sunday because I'm speaking at our sister church in Santa Cruz. They don't have a minister right now, so San Jose is kind of taking turns. A bunch of us are taking turns, like one Sunday a month, helping them out and doing their service. So if you're not here Christmas Eve, I wanted to be sure to wish you a very, very beautiful, blessed Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I love you all. And have the best year ever and the best Christmas ever. Thank you.
As we close, there are two more brief things. One is the new banners have been ordered, and I believe they're already being shipped here. So they will be hanging on these walls on the first Sunday of January. What you may not know is that behind these banners, there are at least 4 little plastic wall mounts that sit behind the banners that people can you can sponsor them. So if you want to sponsor the purchase of the banners, which costs about $1,000 for the 2 banners, so we don't put that into our general budget. Some people like to gift that. So for a minimum of $250, your name will go on one of those plastic boxes, and that becomes your own personal private prayer box that you can use all year long. So you can write down your prayers or your affirmations or your intentions, and you can peel back the banner and slip your prayer or your intention there, and it can stay all year long. If you'd like to sponsor one of those banners, please see Reverend Susan after service. And then lastly is that the organization, our corporation, has decided not to move forward with the Operations Corps Coordinator in 2014. So we will not be renewing Reverend Darlene's letter of call. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. We're just not moving forward with that position. So Reverend Darlene's last day officially as our one of our assistant ministers will be next Sunday, the 22nd. And but she's actually in the room right now. So if you'd like to help me make a lot of noise, thanking Reverend Darlene for an amazing year. Thank you. And please stand and take the hand of the person on your right and on your left, because it's time to move on to lunch and whatever's next in our day. But won't you know with me that you and I are never alone? That God is where you are right now and always, and the only thing that we will ever need to do is look inside ourselves, because it is there we will find that we are guided and sustained and directed and inspired by this God that knows only good. And so joyously, let us make use of these gifts in all that we think and say and do. And so it is. And won't you please repeat after me, as is our custom, something wonderful is happening as me right now. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It's this thing called life. It's this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in my relationships. Life is in my finances. I see it. I think it. I feel it. I believe it. I accept it. I express it just the way that it is. Just the way that it is not. Thank you, life.